All right, hello everybody. First of all, Akshay, what the hell? There's no title.
For what?
For the conversation we're about to have.
It says a fireside chat.
That's boring.
Okay, well, we're gonna find out.
Where's the fire? What are we gonna talk about?
Okay, well, we're gonna get straight into it because we have about 15 minutes and I wanna make sure the folks who are here have a good time. All right, so Nuseir, what is your bank balance as a creator? Because I know you have 60 million followers, but nobody knows how much money you have. And we want to know how much money you have and how crypto can help solve the monetization problem for creators. But you start with your bank balance first.
Wait, is this like a thing?
It is a thing. We're getting right into it. Let's go. We're 14 minutes, 30 seconds.
So I may actually have to do that. I may have to actually tell you the number. But actually, a lot of people think if you have one follower, it means you have $1.
Okay.
So if you have 1 million followers, you have $1 million. It's a lie. It's the world's biggest lie. So I actually show you. So we have what? We have 65.
Okay, how many followers do you have?
We have 65 million followers across the internet. And in my bank account right now, there is 6.8 million.
Okay, is that your net worth?
No, it's a bit higher than that. On paper, it's much higher, but that's worth zero.
Okay.
So
we understand that phenomenon.
So let's say
in this room.
Yeah, tell me more. Why? So my crypto money is no one knows, but it's roughly 6.8 million. Okay. But it's actually a lot lower than many people think.
Okay, I wanted to open with that so we have a frame for the rest of the conversation. Nuseir, for those of you who don't know, runs a very successful vlog and now a media company called Nas Daily. You may have seen him on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. They're across, they're omni-channel, they're everywhere. He has also a technology company that we'll touch upon called Nas.io, which is a community management platform to reach the people that are in your community, starting with WhatsApp, but really wherever they are on the internet. Okay, so
Akshay, what's in your bank account?
I have to look it up. I don't really use banks much.
Okay.
Represent. Okay. All right. So Nuseir, that's a good frame. So I'm interested in knowing how you got to most of the money you made and whether that had any connection at all with the number of followers you had or what you did on the internet. And then,
so here's how money works with creators. Actually, the actual net worth is roughly somewhere around 10 if you take everything in. Now, how do you go from 0 to 10 million as a creator? So actually, when you start, the first videos you make, you're guaranteed to lose money on because the way social media is structured today, it is structured not to pay you anything. So on TikTok, there's no monetization. On Instagram, there's no monetization. On Facebook, if you make short videos, there's no monetization. So the first million followers, you're actually not making any money, you're just losing money. So I was investing my own money, my own savings into this. But the hypothesis was, if you have 1 million people's attention, you should be able to make $1 million at some point in your life. At some point, you should be able to turn attention into money. But it's not very clear with social media platforms. So the first money I was making was basically through brands, speaking engagements, not this one.
Hey, it's a bear market.
and also, eventually, you start to offer services, production services, to other people. So people know you as a creator, and then they want to use your services for their company. So the combination of these three things helps you make $1 million. Then after that, you start monetizing the community. My recommendation to anybody here, don't work with brands. Brands are the worst possible client to have because they're flaky. Brands are like chicken. The minute there's something scary happening, they run away. Their dollars run away. They boycott you. They run away. So you don't want to build a business on brands. You want to build it on top of community. The community does not run away in the millions. Brands do run away. So I'm personally trying to build a company in which I don't need to depend on a single goddamn brand deal to hire 100 people. And it's all going to be monetized through the community.
Okay, well, let's break down the source of revenue, and then we should get to the point of there's a developer audience here trying to build products that cross over between Web 2 and Web 3 for creators. And we can get to sort of what that should directionally look like. But your source of revenue is A, brand deals, B, also ad revenue from YouTube and...
but that's 5%.
Okay, so but can you just break that down?
Yeah, so social media platforms,
Yep.
brands, speaking engagements, and community.
Okay.
Community is probably 40%. Brands right now is probably 40%. Speaking engagements and social media ads is probably 20%.
Okay, what does community mean? Is this subscription business?
So what community means is not just a subscription business, is offering products to the community that they eventually end up buying, which is education products, travel products, experiences products, NAS Summit that we have. So any type of product that you could offer, whether it's digital or physical.
Okay, so, well, that's essentially you're sort of building a business on top of the following you have, and you are the brand in that case.
Yes.
Because you're making the product and you have the distribution. So you
Yes, and that's cancel proof.
Okay.
You cannot be canceled if you have a community that's international enough.
Okay, great. That's a good frame. We, in sort of like the crypto world, have a version of community which has largely manifested.
Which no one uses.
Okay, which.
How do we build tools for you? We'll
Yeah,
talk
that's
about
exactly the question we're about to answer. So we have a version of this community thing where it's sort of like it's happened without the creators of the Web 2 ecosystem,
Yes.
surprisingly.
Yes.
And it's manifested in this rough form as an NFT community where people take some common identity.
Yes.
You know, what's the common identity for people who follow Nas Daily? They like people stories. Roughly, that's like their common identity. And they click the follow button, and so they've seen the same content, they recognize the same person, they recognize the same storytelling format. That's their collective identity. The only way they can prove that is by showing you their phone of how they follow you. Okay, well, in our world, the way people have this collective identity is they own some sort of badge, artwork.
Say the word. Just say the word. There we go. NFT.
Okay,
Say the word.
All right. They have that. Just like I'm showing you that I follow you on Instagram, they have a version of that in their wallet.
Yeah, but actually, for me right now, this is actually meaningless.
Right. It's built on the back of speculation. How could we steer that towards making it more palatable to people like you?
And that's really the challenge that I think we're facing. So just to be clear, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of what Salon's trying to do. I'm a huge fan. Now, the question is, how can we get creators to adopt this technology? Because I'm seeing other creators adopt it, and the minute they announce it, you know what happens? Their audience gets angry because they assume that you're trying to make money from me, right? So we also built a platform ourselves called Mask.io, which is a monetization platform for creators. We built it with Web 2 monetization and Web 3 monetization.
Yep.
If you want to know the data of usage, 98% of creators chose Web 2 monetization, 2% chose Web 3 monetization. Now the question is, how can we adopt Web 3 without calling it NFT? Yeah. And the best example that I ever saw, which I would love to be part of and I'd love to build one myself, is like a DAO, a nouns DAO. Does anybody know nouns DAO?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's that.
It's not that, but it's that. But the idea is that if you buy an NFT and you pay money for it, that money doesn't go to the creator and just runs away with it. If you buy an NFT and you spend money on it, that money goes to a treasury that nobody controls other than the community. That model at least makes the NFT worth something because it is some ownership of that treasury.
Yeah, so let me give you a sense of what could happen, right? So, something like Patreon is monetizing users on the internet. Somebody pays $5 to be part of like a creator's community. Do you want to guess what the highest earning creator on Patreon makes a month?
Yeah, I think I know that.
A year?
They make, I think, $1 million a year.
Okay, well, I think it's closer to $20 million actually. The top creator,
Are you sure?
absolute top creator on Patreon, which means people are paying $5 and they're banking like 20 million. Okay, well, that's a community of users. I think what we have in crypto is a community of producers.
Yeah.
Which is, okay, let's say YC is a community of founders. Those people are producing value for the world, and the total market cap of YC companies is about $750 billion.
So I would love to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to market to that community.
Right. So if you could get a piece of, like you said, the treasury goes into something. It goes into investing back in the best community producers who are building things.
So it's
of
a
value.
fund.
Yeah, in that case, it's a fund. But would that be more palatable to you? I think the aversion.
Something has to be done with the money, basically.
Yes. Okay, so fund is sort of one example of how this could manifest.
Yes.
There's another example of the All In podcast. Should we talk about that real quick?
Yes.
Okay, All In started as a podcast, and then they turned into a community where people are doing meetups, conferences. They're getting together and starting little funds, SPVs, vehicles. There's many-to-many interaction between the All In podcast listeners.
Yes.
Now, at some point, for the better or worse, people make fun of like monkey JPEG pictures. But clearly, if you've ever seen anybody with an NFT, there's something that goes into the root of your sort of limbic system that makes you
like you belong.
root for your tribe. So, and we're looking at All In, which is like clearly a productive.
Bro, why are we looking at all that? I mean, that's what NAS Daily is. Like, NAS Daily has that. It has memberships, it has events. Just because it's not based in America doesn't mean it's less valuable, for God's sake.
All right.
Everybody looks at America as, oh, All In must be amazing. All In is great, by the way. All In's great. But this kind of membership-based community,
yes,
every creator is trying to do. I think what All In is special at is they're trying to turn it into a billion-dollar company. Yeah. The Hamptons is another example of that, which is a community of founders, and they're already making maybe $5 million a year, and that might as well go to billions. Basically, the general idea is...
Hampton is a company started by Sam Parr, who hosts the My First Million, the podcast, and bootstrapped this company of founders off of the back of that podcast. Okay.
So basically, if you're a creator and you have 100,000 followers on TikTok, okay, the idea is that, can you find the smartest 200 people out of these 100,000 followers? If you can find the smartest 200 engineers out of 100,000 people that follow you, you could make a lot of money. Because if you find the smartest 200 engineers in Vietnam, Russia, and America, you could go and get a recruitment fee. And you can hire them. You can get somebody else to hire them, and you make 1 month finder's fee, right? So you can make, if you have 200 engineers times 1 month of 5K, that is 200 times 5.
I don't do math like this on stage, but okay, well, it's not popular in my industry to do math like this. Okay.
That is $1 million.
Oh, okay, got it.
That is $1 million you can make from 100,000 followers on TikTok.
Okay.
Which traditionally TikTok would give you nothing. Okay. To your point, if you find the producers in your community and you can monetize the top 1%, that will be responsible for 90% of your revenue.
Okay, incidentally, I'm part of a community called Super Team that sort of I helped bootstrap in the early days. And that is a community of the top 1% of developers in the Solana ecosystem around the world, bootstrapped from, like a podcast.
And is it generating revenue, that community?
Well, the members are, there's no treasury or at the community level, but the members are free to sort of associate and transact between them. Any Super Team members or folks in the house? All right, there we go. Right. Okay, so we have 2 minutes to go, all right? So I want to sort of touch on product direction for the folks who are listening and interested in the building for the creator economy. Let me stop there. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I think the general idea, like what should a developer build on Solana or off of Solana so that creators could adopt it en masse? Because I think right now, adoption is the problem.
Okay.
It's not the technology almost.
Okay, cool. So imagine you could look, the way NFTs are useful for one thing alone in its current form as a collective identity layer. The members of your community want to, find other people, because this NFT is in an open state ledger, they can go find them.
They can do that in a Facebook group.
Well, they can. The problem is that Facebook, you're beholden to the platform. There's no way to take your community outside.
They can do that on a NAS.io platform.
Well, then you have to have an email list. Emails are outdated.
Okay, phone numbers.
Will you buy? Okay, fine. Then you're going to have to text people.
That is the best way to reach people. I don't want your freaking...
It's intrusive in...
I don't want your fucking wallet address to reach you, bro. I texted you to come here.
That's fair. But I'm not saying you need my wallet address to contact me. I guess what I'm saying is for people to communicate that they're part of a tribe, they used to paint their faces back 500 years ago, and today you have a digital asset to prove that. The reason that's valuable is whether you like it or not, it's the most primitive form of signaling what tribe you're part of.
Great.
Is that reasonable?
That's reasonable, yes.
Okay, so if you can give it to them free of cost and you're not raising money, but simply giving the community tools to show to other people what community they're a part of, is that like a start?
And how can I pay my 100 employees every month?
Well, I'm solving...
Just from doing this, how can I pay my...
We're not... The revenue continues to be the vanilla sources of revenue. I'm simply saying, would you be open to sending free NFTs to the top 1,000 engineers in your community and letting them find each other and see what happens out of that.
So, I mean, we're being very honest with each other. We've known each other for 5 years, so many, many years.
Probably more.
Like, not good enough is my answer. Because I think it's like, for creators, their number one goal in life is, how can I make enough money to not have to be an accountant at KPMG ever again in my life? That is their number one goal.
We have a niche community of KPMG accountants attending the conference, so I'm sorry to all the folks.
You get the idea. Inherently, not only everybody wants to belong to a tribe, inherently everybody wants to be free. Free of the 9 to 5, free of the pressure of the job, and to be heard. And being a creator allows you to be heard. Like this guy is hearing us and he's nodding, and that is the best feeling in the fucking world, right? And this guy is like this, wow, thank you. So this is better than sex. The question is, how can
Wow, we really ramped it up in those last 30 seconds.
So how can we allow the creator to have a sustainable revenue source while being heard and being free? It's not about giving my members an identity and a feeling of belonging and all that stuff. It doesn't pay the rent.
All right, we have the problem statement. Folks are working on it. We're hanging out on the sidelines. Hopefully, we can continue this conversation.
We have another hour to go.
It's a pity I have to wrap on that final sort of adjudication he made. But on that note, thank you very much for listening
Thank
to
you,
us.
everybody.
I hope you had a good time. Cheers.